like this idea of being trapped in this pit and being forced to work and have a family and like you can't go anywhere. It's almost like the pit is your life. Hey everybody, I'm Nick. I'm a director living in Taiwan.
Hey everybody, I'm Luke. I'm cinematographer living in Taiwan.
And today we're going to be discussing a Japanese film that was recommended to us by one of our viewers. It's called Woman in the Dunes, directed by Hiroshi Teshigahara.
沙丘之女，赤石和猿红，1964年的作品。
And this film is part of a film movement called the Japanese New Wave, which is from like the 60s to the 70s in Japan.
Yes.
And they started making these kind of strange, arty films that are, you know, they can be like a little bit depressing or a little bit sexual or a little bit violent.
Yes.
And just very different kinds of movies. So I would highly recommend checking out like Japanese New Wave films. And this film in particular is really, really fantastic. I'm really glad it was recommended to us because I loved it.
I love it too. It's very brilliant. You don't ever tell it's from the 60s.
Yeah, exactly. The plot is that there is a school teacher who goes out to the desert because his hobby is collecting bugs. And then he gets tired and it's late. And so people in this village that live in the desert like say, oh, you can stay at this woman's house for the night and you know, leave in the morning. And so he climbs down this ladder into this like sand dune pit and stays in this house with this woman. And she's acting a little bit strange. And then he wakes up in the morning and he realizes that the ladder has been pulled up and he's been trapped in this sand pit. And so that he's being forced to work for these people, just digging sand and giving them, like mining sand for them.
Yeah.
And so basically they tricked him into like being this woman's husband and working for them. And they won't let him out. So they won't let down the ladder, and if he doesn't work, they don't let him get water.
No.
And so they do all these things. It's very in some ways the film is structured and paced a lot like a horror film, I feel like.
Yes.
Because you watch it and you feel like, what's going on? This is really scary. Feel nervous,
you
right?
feel so nervous. You feel like you have lost the freedom. You have limited access of anything you normally can get, but just kind of in this close environment, and you just assuming there's suddenly horrible things will happen. Yeah,
exactly. It's like a lot of tension in the film, and a lot of the movie centers around him trying to get out and escape, figure out ways to escape.
Yes.
In reality, the guy actually has everything when he goes into this woman. Like, he was single before, he was living alone, and then he gets kind of stuck in this situation with a woman who the relationship between him and the woman is, you can tell the woman like really loves him. You know?
Kind of.
She treats him really well.
Like husbands.
Yeah, exactly. Like she's very lonely and she's very happy to have him there, and they have like a kind of a good relationship in a way. It's kind of a weird relationship, but it's like a good relationship. But because he didn't choose it, he feels very unsatisfied, I think.
Right.
I think there's a big theme of like, your freedom is in your ability to choose.
Yes.
But in reality, he has food. They give him food. He has a job.
Kind of a job. Digging sand.
You know, he has everything he needs. They give him cigarettes and alcohol, and he has a wife that is in love with him. But he's unhappy, and he wants to get out of the situation because he feels like he's trapped.
Yes.
Because he didn't pick the situation himself.
No, he didn't. But in the end, he even has a son, right? The woman is pregnant.
Yeah, but I think in the end, so some spoilers, at the end of the film, the woman gets pregnant and then she gets taken away to go to the hospital. But I think the implication is that she's gonna die.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think she's like she's sick and she's gonna die. I don't know. Maybe you can comment below if you think that the wife died. My interpretation was that she died. So I found that very sad at the end, actually.
Okay.
And so then he was left all alone. And actually what ends up happening is that he ends up figuring out a way, because water is a big concern because they're in the desert. And so he ends up figuring out a way to collect water on his own. And he feels this sense of freedom because then he doesn't need to rely on the people in the town to give him water.
Surprise, yeah.
So he is self-sufficient. And so then when he has a chance, after they take his wife away to the hospital, they leave the ladder down and he has a chance to escape. But he decides not to because he actually realizes he has a sense of purpose now. And so I think for me, the point of the movie is to kind of show how like people feel like only feel fulfilled when they're doing something for themselves. So you can give somebody a job, give somebody a wife, give them this, give them that. But if they didn't do anything to get it on their own, they don't feel good about it.
No. So only when you get the ability to give in something to someone else, then you kind of feel more satisfied.
Yeah.
In even this situation.
Yeah. Like you feel satisfied because you did it for yourself. It's kind of, in a way, I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just my interpretation of it, but I feel like it's like a anti-communism.
Anti-communism.
And like pro-capitalist kind of thing, in a way.
Really? Yeah.
It's
kind
completely,
of, if you invent something new and people needed it, then you got promoted in this situation. So you basically building your reputation and you were kind of easy to live, right? So kind of I invent some product that everybody wanted to, so I can sell to everybody, so I can be rich.
I don't even think it's about selling. It's about like just feeling good that he did it for himself. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't like the feeling of being. He keeps saying in the movie, he's like, men are not dogs. Men are not dogs. Men are not dogs. Mm-hmm. I think the idea of that is like people giving him like scraps. Like he's not doing anything. His job is basically useless. Like, who cares about this job? It's basically digging sand, putting it in a box, and then they take it away. Yes. And there's sand everywhere.
Yeah.
So this is a totally useless job.
And also one important thing for me is he's a teacher, right?
Yeah.
So he has kind of intellectual property in his mind. So this is the way he kind of changed his life using the knowledge he had. So I kind of changed this whole situation, becoming not only the one be ruled,
right,
but
he has his own freedom because of his thought and his brain.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too because he has like there's the other thing about him collecting bugs, right? Mm-hmm. And how that's like his hobby and thing that he loves. And he's searching for this one bug, like a certain particular new bug. And then when he finds the bug, he throws away all of them and burns them.
Yeah.
After he finds the bug he was looking for. So it's like, I think a lot of this movie is about like what, I mean, I don't think there's a clear answer because it's like an art film and there's lots of ways to interpret, but I definitely think that the whole point of the movie is kind of a discussion and to get you thinking about what gives your life meaning. Mm-hmm. Like, what is the point of your whole existence? Like this idea of being trapped in this pit and being forced to work and have a family and like you can't go anywhere. It's almost like the pit is your life.
Yes, it is your life.
Yeah.
It's the whole world.
Yeah. I mean, and it makes you consider like what is so much different. It made me think about it. Like, what is so much different from this guy's situation to my life? You know,
what's
like,
the difference?
What's the difference? I can pick out some different things, like I like my job or whatever, different things. But there's some things you're like, in some ways it's similar. Like you feel trapped sometimes. You know,
of course,
you can't just do whatever you want.
You have families to support. You have one thing very interesting for me is in the beginning he said all those documents is really meaningful. Like all the ID,
the ID, the passport,
anything to identify you as a person, is not really useful in this situation,
right?
Because there's none of this, and no one come to rescue him.
Yeah,
so
nobody cares about him.
Nobody cares about him. All those paperwork doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a reason he decided to, even he found a bug, he just decided to throw it away because nobody cares.
Yeah.
The thing he cares so much about it, nobody cares.
Yeah. I think the acting between the woman and the man is really nice. Like the way that they play off of each other and the way that the woman is so like giving and like tries to do everything for him, and the way that he is like very, you can tell he likes her sort of, but he has like this contempt and anger towards her. So even though she's really nice to him, he doesn't really ever fall back in love with her.
No.
Yeah. And then there's the really the creepiest scene in the whole movie is when the town is like, he wants to go see the water.
Yeah.
And so then the town is like, okay, we'll let you see the water if you have sex with your wife in front of us. And so then there's like everybody from the town is standing above them in this sand pit and looking down on him, and he's trying to force his wife to have sex with him in front of them. And she's like, you can sense like the betrayal. As an audience member, I felt like, dude, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, this woman has been so nice to you. She does everything for you. She loves you, and you're gonna treat her like this just because you want something. I think it also is like the society. It shows how sick the society is about how like society just wants to take from the weaker people.
Yeah,
you know?
They want to be entertained.
Yeah, they'll take advantage of somebody who is in a weak situation. Like they're below them,
Lower
they're lower in society. So they just say, yeah, whatever you do is just for our enjoyment.
It's just so sad. And I'm especially sorry for the main male character.
Yeah.
Because she is so innocent in some way. Maybe it's reflect for the society of Japan, or maybe in the
you mean
East culture, a woman always to be a weaker, to be soft, to be more
like subservient.
Yeah. So it's why she kind of the man treat her like, just give you we don't really need it to be serious. We just kind of not big deal, but for her it's so.
Yeah. Well, and even in every other area too, like she's the one who's lived in the sand for a long time, so she understands it, right? But then he tells her to do stuff that is bad for their survival all the time, but she does it. She listens, but she tells him, she says, don't drink all the water because we're not gonna have enough, and he drinks it. And then he says to her, like, she says, like, make sure you close the door because sand will get in, and he doesn't do it.
No.
Because he thinks like, oh, I'm the man, so I know. But actually the woman,
it's
obviously, she's lived here forever, so she knows how to survive.
Yeah.
But she won't tell him, no, that's wrong.
Even though she still be a lower level than the man.
Yeah.
So it's just.
Yeah, that relationship is really interesting. The camera in it is really nice as well, right?
Very impressed me because he used a lot of kind of super close-ups shot and some overlapping, so you can tell this very artistic way to show in the mind of the character.
Yeah, double exposures.
Double exposures, and I particularly love the way they reflect in the sand in the bodies. So you almost feel the kind of texture. Because personally, I didn't like the sand of all my body. It feels so gross. I wanted to wash it out.
Yeah.
But they just show you over and over again, so you can feel the way. Oh, I'm so uncomfortable with all the sand on my body.
Yeah, like you really feel. I feel like watching this movie, you really feel like you're in this situation. Like the way they build it, like you feel tense, you feel nervous, and then you can almost even feel like the sticky. It's the way they film it, because the characters always have sand on them, stuck to them, and they show close-ups and stuff, and there's a sex scene in it that's like really, you're like, oh man, having sex in the sand is terrible.
How on earth?
And they have no water either, so they're like, you feel like, oh man, you're thirsty while you watch it. You're just like, terrible. And then but then they contrast that feeling of them being grimy and dirty with these like faraway shots of the sand dunes, and it's really beautiful, right?
So beautiful.
But it's also like, you can tell there's no life, right? It's like
just
beautiful, but nothing.
Yeah.
So definitely check this film out, The Woman in the Dunes. Another reason to watch it is that this is one of Andrei Tarkovsky's favorite films. And Andrei Tarkovsky, if you don't know, is a Russian film director who's considered one of the greatest directors of all time.
Cool.
So if you like Tarkovsky, this is one of his favorite movies. So you can check it out, give it a watch. If you want us to review any movies, let us know in the comments. And see you next time. Like, share, subscribe. Bye-bye.
Bye.